Welcome back to my channel. This is about my next flying lesson, which was on circuits again. So the instructor said to me that I'll probably be sick of circuits by the time we finish these lessons, and also I was quite I was sweating in the middle of it. It was quite a stressful lesson, but as was said at the end, if I wasn't sweating and I didn't find it quite stressful, then the instructor was probably doing too much of the work and the thinking. In the briefing to the lesson, we went round the whole circuit, and I found that really useful, just talking about what and where we're going to be at each point, how and where we're going to pick the point at which we turn. There were particular things that need to be discussed at Harden about the noise abatement, not turning over the small village that is just on the left of the runway as you climb out from the airport, but also the checks we're going to do midway, the turn onto base, where that might be, and then when we turn onto final, how we will make sure we're at the right height and in the right lineup for the runway. Okay, so as we enter the runway, we want to do the ATPL checks, so check for anti-collision, transponder to alt, and then the lights on, line up on the runway, and then we want to go sharpish, so 1, 2, 3 on the throttle, keep down the center of the runway using the rudder. Once we get to 40 knots, gentle back pressure, then 60 knots, we're going to lift off. We got a little bit of a wind lift as we took off, which meant the stall warning just catches on the end, but you want to get into a stable climb, stable 70 knot climb, a dashboard just on or above the horizon, and then climb out in the direction of the runway. So I want to just look back, make sure we keep the direction of the runway. I wasn't very good at that. I tended to drift a little bit to the right, so it's important to keep within the pattern. Then we want to make we made a climbing left hand turn, only 15 degrees in the climbing turn. As you come onto the circuit altitude 1000, so push forward on the yoke, allow the speed to increase to around 100 knots, so attitude first, and then power, and then trim. So stabilizing the cruise, trimmed at 1000 feet, and keep an eye out of the rear of the aircraft. Once we're 45 degrees from the runway, we want to make a left hand turn onto downwind. So if you remember, it's bank and back pressure to make sure that you maintain the height on the left hand turn, and then balance with the rudder. So bank, back pressure, balance. And you want to be a 30-degree turn. We want a stable, solid turn. Otherwise, we'll move out of the pattern and drift too far away from the runway as we move on to the downwind leg. Now we want to be thinking about the checks that we're going to do. So once we're stable, aviate first. We can call air traffic control and advise them downwind, and then we're going to do the bum feeder check. So brakes in the carriage mixture, carb heat on. You don't have to change the fuel tank every circuit, but around every 15-20 minutes you want to change the fuel tank to balance the wing tanks. So we're thinking now about our turn onto the base leg. So again, bank, back pressure, balance, 30-degree turn, complete the turn onto the base leg at around 1,000 feet. I think we're a little bit low here. And then once you stabilise, aviate on the turn, you can then start to bleed back to power. Hold back on the yoke until the speed bleeds off. Once in the white arc, first stage of flaps, and then once we get the 70 knot stable descent speed, then we can trim for the descent. Now, this happens quite quickly, particularly if you've got a rear wind and you want to be making your 30-degree turn pretty sharpish onto final. Don't forget, once you drop below 1,000 feet, I'm rubbish at keeping my hand on the throttle. You need to keep your hand on the throttle just in case you need to go around. Once you're established on final, second stage of flaps, call ATC to confirm final. Then you want to just maintain the 70 knot descent and adjust with the speed. Make sure that you keep your eye on the speed, and then you can use your revs per minute just to keep the descent stable. At Harden you get a little bit of a bump as you go over the river. Keep in line with the runway, maintain the stable descent, maintain the speed. There was one circuit where the speed dropped off a little bit, and that is really dangerous, so you want to be around 70 knots as you come in for the stable landing. If you've got the pappy lights, that'll give you a bit of a hint, 2 reds and 2 whites. Not all airfields clearly have those. As you come in over the bars, then you want to reduce the speed, the revs to idle, maintain the runway line, level up to level flight, look at the end of the runway, hold back off the runway, allow it to settle, and then as soon as you are on the runway, you can clean up the flaps, full power, hold the aircraft down the center line with the rudder. I think this lesson was actually pretty good in terms of the takeoff and the circuit itself, but we agreed that there's still more work to do on the landing. That's all I've got for you in this video. If you liked it, please like it. If you want to be notified when videos are uploaded, then please subscribe and leave any comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll catch you next time.